Puka, Bella, I'm sure you've noticed some changes.
Who are you talking to?
I'm just practicing for when I have to tell the dogs about the twins. You know, because they'll...
Be fine in the spacious third row seat.
But the twins...
Can sleep peacefully thanks to the rear manual sunshade.
And what about the...
Extra cargo space for strollers and dog beds?
I guess you're right.
Can we go to the hospital now? The contractions are getting closer.
The three-row Lexus TX, because everyone should feel like the center of the universe. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
This is the Michael K. Show podcast.
I gotta get more K.
Listen live weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN, the ESPN New York app, and your smart speaker.
And a good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining us on this Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. How's everybody doing? A lot of stuff to talk about. It's a Wednesday, so that's a Lupica day. We'll talk to Mike at 2:30, as we always do. But we're going to talk some baseball. Obviously, Super Bowl is still a ways away, and we went over all of the conference championship stuff, and we'll continue to break that down day by day. But there's some news today because of the interview that Meredith Marakovits, my colleague at Yes, did down in Tampa with Hal Steinbrenner, the managing general partner and co-chairperson of the New York Yankees. And there's something that caught the eye of a lot of Yankee fans who are certainly incredibly judgmental when it comes to Hal. Incredibly. You know, they look at, George as the good old days and there was no spending limits or anything like that. And this is what has gotten the attention and also has raised the ire of some Yankee fans. Here's Hal talking to Meredith about the Dodgers spending.
Well, it's difficult for most of us owners to be able to do the kind of things that they're doing. Now, we'll see if it pays off. They still have to have a season relatively injury-free for it to work out for them, and it's a long season, as you know, and once you get to the postseason, anything can happen. We've seen that time and time again, so we'll see who's there at the end and if they're the ones.
Now, there's nothing that he said that I essentially disagree with, except for one thing, and I'm going to play it again, so listen, and I'll tell you exactly what I would take issue with.
Well, it's difficult for most of us owners to be able to do the kind of things they're doing.
Right there. Most of us owners. And if he had said most owners, he's 1,000% right. He can't say most of us. The Yankees could do it. The Mets could do it. The Red Sox could do it. The Cubs probably could do it. The Phillies could do it. So you can't say most of us, because when the owner of the Yankees says most of us, then that includes the Yankees, and the Yankees could certainly do it. They have the highest revenue of any team in baseball by a lot, much more than the Dodgers. If he had not said us, I'd be in total lockstep of what he said. Most of the teams in baseball can't do what the Dodgers are doing. But the teams that can do it, they have made the choice that they will not do it. They don't think you have to do that. And all you'd have to do is take a look at the World Series winners in the last 10 years and tell me how many times the team with the top payroll wins the World Series. Wasn't last year. The top payroll was the Mets. The Dodgers won. The year before that, it was the Texas Rangers. They didn't even come close to the top payroll. And they won. So my point is, if you know how to run your business, you don't have to go up to $380 million to put together a team that's going to win. I give the Dodgers credit. They're going to get taxed a lot. They're going to suffer the onerous penalties that come along with being over that threshold for however many years. But the thing that I take issue with, and I after what Hal said, I was on the hot stove yesterday, and we reacted to it in real time. After what Hal said yesterday, the thing that jumps out is when Yankee fans are outraged and say he's cheap, he's nothing like his dad. All he cares about is competing, doesn't care if he wins a championship. And I laugh at that. And you're more than welcome to battle me on this point. All he cares about is making the playoffs. Okay, let's say that is in fact the truth. And I think that's an important fixture in the Yankee business model is they want to make the playoffs. But here's a little secret, everybody. They could have a $200 million payroll and make the playoffs. Easily have a $200 million payroll and make the playoffs. And rather than have the 301 that it's at right now, they would make the playoffs and they'd make $101 million more profit than they're making now. So if he doesn't want to win a championship, then why does he have a $300 million payroll? Why has he gone over the Cohen tax 2 years in a row? Why? So what you're saying about him being cheap, it's ridiculous. He's not cheap. But I don't think he thinks that you have to get up to $380 million to win a World Series. Now, I saw what the GM of the Dodgers said to Joel Sherman and John Heyman. You know, don't make us out to be the bad guys. We're not doing anything wrong, and we're not getting any complaints. We just want to put the best team out there possible. I'm not ripping the Dodgers. They are doing everything within the rules. And one thing that I've said over and over again, if you've listened to the show, Yankee fans have no kick coming. None. You can't criticize the Dodgers for what they're doing because they're doing what you used to do, where you used to outspend everybody. But the Dodgers are owned by a hedge fund that make their money in insurance. And they've taken on, over the next 10 years, $1.3 billion in debt on deferred payments. The Yankees will not operate their baseball team on a debt. They won't. They just won't. Just look. They do not accrue any debt like that. That's not the business model that they want to work with. The Dodgers have no problem doing it because what's happening is that the Guggenheim people, they take the money that's deferred, like the $68 million that was deferred last year to Shohei and will be deferred for all 10 years to Shohei. They take that money and they invest it in their hedge fund. So they could end up making money on it. The Yankees are not a hedge fund. They're not. So they're not going to do it. In the past, have they had some deferred money? Yes. The only reason you defer money is that you take the present value of the team or the present value of the contract and it's down a smidge. But for the Dodgers, that doesn't make any sense because the only reason you try to defer and take the average annual value, present day value down is that you don't go over thresholds. The Dodgers are so far over the threshold, they pay a 110% tax. So let's say the threshold is 301. It might be 303, but let's say it's 300 so we make the math easier. And the Dodgers are at 380. That means they're paying $80 million plus another 10%. So $88 million just in tax. Some teams don't want to do that. The Dodgers think their business model works. And you know what? They won a championship last year. So what Hal Steinbrenner is saying, and I think what is going to ultimately happen, is that there are owners out there that look at this, say, we can't do it. We cannot swim in that end of the pool. We can't. And one thing I disagree with Jeff Passan, who was on with us yesterday, Pittsburgh can't do it. They can't. Kansas City can't do it. They don't create the revenue. And I think the argument of a lot of people in our business is, well, you know, they should just take it out of their own pocket. Well, who runs a business like that? You know who ran a business like that? Steve Cohen has run a business like that. And for the last 2 years, I think he's lost something like $135 million a year. And he's taking it out of his own pocket to do it. That's his choice. The Mets are his hobby. They're not his business. The Yankees are the Steinbrenner family's business. It's not their hobby. And they also own only 55% of it. So the other 45% who invest, they're looking for a return as well. So the one thing that Hal said that I disagree with is the us. Because the Yankees could do it. They choose not to. That's not their business model to do it. And they think they've gone far enough to win the American League East. And when you look at the team, and he said this on the show yesterday to Meredith, and I agree with him, The Yankees are better this year than they were last year, even with Juan Soto gone. They're better. They're a better, more well-rounded team. They're better at first base. They're better defensively. They're better starting staff. I mean, you've essentially replaced Marcus Stroman as a starter with Max Fried. Much better. They're better in the bullpen with Devin Williams. And they're hoping that a full season of Jazz Chisholm and Bellinger and a rookie like Jason Dominguez will more than make up for the offense they lost with Soto. Maybe they're right. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I think it's a better team. And another thing that he said, I totally agree with, and I get a lot of pushback when I say this. He said, the Dodgers were not better than us last year. They played better in the World Series. He's right. I think the Yankees could have won that World Series. They gave it away. And that's an inherent problem with the 2024 team. They were sloppy. They were sloppy defensively. They've improved much, much more than they were last year defensively. Soto's not a good defensive right fielder. Now you move Judge to right. He's much better than Soto defensively. You put Bellinger in center. He's much better than Judge defensively. And then you put Dominguez out and left. So, again, it's easy to jump on Hal. Because those that jump on Hal, they worship at the church of what would George do. And I think you got to get over that. George died in 2010. That's 14 years ago, 15 years ago. He's not coming back. And it was a different world, and there wasn't tax thresholds, and there wasn't penalties when it came to international signing, and there wasn't penalties in terms of draft picks. None of that existed when George owned a team and was in his heyday. None of it. And by the way, you hate Hal so much. He was running the team in 2009. George was alive, but Hal was running the team. And they won a championship. And he signed off on those deals for Teixeira and Sabathia and Burnett. And the trade for Nick Swisher. He signed off on those. He signed off on Garrett Cole. He signed off on Max Fried. He signed off on the deal for Soto, knowing where it would lead. He's the one who put the bidding up to $750 million, well beyond what he wanted to pay Soto. But he felt it was important for the team and for his fan base to make the best try. But he was in a fight with a guy who refused to lose and has more money. So the only thing that I disagree with what he said, us owners, us owners, you can, Hal. You choose not to, which is your right. And for those fans that say he's cheap, you're out of your mind. You're just a hater. You're just a hater. And I know there are people out there, there are certain follows on X. Well, they'll tell you about the Yankee revenue, and they don't spend up to... a lot of teams in sports don't spend up to their revenue. It's a business. They're trying to make money, and they want to win. And if they didn't want to win, again, I say, you could easily have a payroll of $250 million or $200 million and still compete. So what the Yankees have done in putting together the team this year, they made an outrageous bid for Soto, and they got outbid by a more outrageous bid. And the team that they have pivoted to without Soto and the money they've invested, guess what? They're the best team in the American League. Convince me otherwise. The Red Sox are not better. The Rays are not better. The Orioles are not better. The Astros are not better. The Guardians are not better. They're not. Texas Rangers aren't better. Does it mean that the Yankees get an automatic pass into the World Series? No. You got to play well. You got to stay healthy. And you've got to advance. Last year, when I saw the way the playoffs were set up, I said the Yankees going to the World Series. There's no doubt in my mind. Because all they had to do was face Central Division teams who they own. Once again, they're the best team in the league. So let the Dodgers do what they want to do. Let the Mets do what they want to do. The Phillies, the Braves, whatever. Let the Brewers do, the Padres, the Giants. The Yankees only have to face them in the World Series other than intra-league series. They only have to beat them in the World Series in a best of 7. And for those that say the Dodgers just completely outplayed the Yankees, 25-24 in runs in that series. And every single important offensive stat was in favor of the Yankees. Yankees gave that series away by bringing in Nestor Cortez in the first game when they should have brought in Tim Hill. Just makes no sense. And then the fifth inning in Game 5, gave it away. Gave it away. They play a clean series, they could be the world champions right now. So the Dodgers did not overwhelm the Yankees. You watch, and when people go, well, I mean, the Mets did better against the Dodgers. Yeah, they took the games to 6 games. But look at the games the Mets lost. They got blown out. They got blown out. The Yankees did it to themselves. I'm not saying the Dodgers are a bad team. They're a great team. They deserve to be world champions. The Yankees made it easy on them because they gave it away. Now, one quick thing that Boone said yesterday on a radio show, he said that they're going to play Dominguez in left and Bellinger in center. And I think this is a bad idea. We all watched Dominguez in left field last year. He couldn't do it. It's easier to play center field than it is to play a corner outfield because a corner outfield has to deal with balls slicing off the bat. And in Yankee Stadium, left field is a bear because of the way the sun comes down. In certain part of the year as well. I would put Dominguez, who's more comfortable in center. Bellinger has said that he's more than willing to play left field. So I don't understand what they're doing. And the reason I feel so strongly about this, I think a lot of what the Yankees are going to be this year and how far they can go is predicated on the performance of Jason Dominguez. He's got to get a full year. He's 22 years old. Because if Jason Dominguez doesn't work, there's no pivot. You can't tell me that Trent Grisham is the pivot. It's not a pivot. And I know what Aaron Boone said. I don't want people moving around. So, I mean, Bellinger, could be a DH. He can move to right field. We can move Grisham to center field certain games. I don't want to do that to Dominguez. So you'd rather play in a position where he was so bad last year that you wanted him to be the starting left fielder in the playoffs, and he could not grab the job because he was such a detriment defensively. So now you want a year of that. Isn't it better to make a 22-year-old, 21-year-old kid comfortable playing the position that he's comfortable in, having him be your everyday center fielder, and see what he can do? Instead, you're going to put him in an unknown position where he struggled last year. Now, if he's a good player, and I think he is, in time it will happen. He should be able to adapt to left field. But don't you want him to be comfortable right away? Isn't that the key, is to have him be comfortable right from the start? I think it is. I was shocked when I heard that yesterday. I think it's so much of a no-brainer to put Dominguez in center. You're inviting disaster. What happens if he misplays a ball on left field opening day against the Brewers? What happens? Then he becomes that guy. Then he becomes the guy that everybody's worried about. Then he becomes the guy who's overthinking things. Then he becomes the guy who the fans are going to jump on. And then he becomes the guy who takes his defensive struggles to the plate. The most important thing is that he has a good year offensively. And the best chance of doing that is putting him in center and having Bellinger in left. Sorry, I disagree with what Aaron Boone said. I just don't get it. I don't understand why they're going that route. So a lot of Yankee news to talk about, as you can hear, 1-800-919-3776. And let's go to the phones. Let's start it off with the great Richard in Manhattan. Richard.
Michael, I love listening to you. You're fantastic. But I have to disagree with you. The Dodgers didn't win because of the money they spent. They, like anything, what this past weekend, Buffalo lost because they gave the game to Kansas City.
I didn't say, wait a minute. I didn't say the Dodgers won because of the money they spent.
Money has nothing to do. Aaron Judge, catch the ball in center field, and then we'll see where we're going.
Absolutely.
Don't talk about the Astros in 2017 ever again. You got to play perfect baseball in these big football games. Baseball. It doesn't matter the money, how much they put out there. Look, we had Ohtani hurt. Oh, that's the biggest advantage you can have, and we still lost. And you're telling me about the Astros? Not you, Michael, but I'm hearing Yankee fans. Well, they cheated. How could you not win with their best player player not able to play after game 2, after game 1.5, actually. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's who plays the best at that time. Money and lineups and all very rarely has something to do with it, Michael. It's always, and you saw it in football this weekend. I get all the whole thing, the college playoffs, the NFL. There were 1 or 2 good games, and that was it, where the team really won. I'm watching these games, and what you're watching is teams losing the game, not being prepared or not doing the right things in this kind of situation. And it's surprising in this kind of big stakes games that all these mistakes are made. And the Yankees they were terrible in that World Series. They look like a little league team. So I don't know how they can talk about anything. You just got to play well in these big games.
Well, I agree. And Richard, this is what Steinbrenner said. Hal Steinbrenner said yesterday to Meredith Marakovits. He reflected on how last season ended.
Tale of 2 different seasons, right? 2 years ago, we didn't make the playoffs, had a lot of injuries. I mean, it was just a bad year. Less injuries this year, played better, made it to the World Series. For me, it hurts worse than 2 years ago when we didn't make the playoffs at all. Not everybody's like that, but I think you're alluding to the fact that when you get that close and you don't make it, particularly when you have some sloppy play, not good defense and things like that, and Dodgers were not better than us. They played better than us.
I couldn't agree with him more. A lot of people are going to say that. A lot of people are going to say that. I get it. A lot of people are going to say that. Oh, the Dodgers. I personally, I watched every out, as you all did too, every pitch. They're not better. They played better. Yankees gave them that World Series. I'm not saying that if the Yankees played a clean series that they definitely would have won, but it would have been a different series. They should have won Game 1. I think it was a terrible decision to bring in Nestor Cortez. They should have won Game 5. And even after that awful 5th inning, they still took the lead and didn't hold on. They did not play a clean series. They didn't. But the Dodgers didn't have a great... That's why you can look at the $380 million that they're spending this year and say, oh, they're a sure thing to win. That's not the history of the sport. I'm sorry, it's not the history of the sport. The history of the sport tells you otherwise. The team with the highest payroll doesn't always win the ultimate prize. In fact, it usually doesn't win the ultimate prize. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to try to put lipstick on a pig. The more money you spend, the better team you probably have, and the better chance you have of winning, but it guarantees you nothing. The Dodgers won the World Series last year, and they were a couple of outs away, losing in the first series they played against the Padres. They're down 2-1. Dave Roberts would have been fired. The whole way we look at the Dodgers would have changed. So money guarantees you nothing other than it increases your odds to win. And that's why the Yankees spent $300 million on a payroll. They're trying to increase their odds to win. But when fans of theirs want them to spend the same as the Dodgers at $380, Yankees probably go, why? Guarantees us nothing. We have the same chance to win a World Series at $300 than we do at $380. We're the best team in our league the way we're constructed right now, they're probably thinking. Then we'll take our chance in a short series against any team from the National League. Any team. 1-800-919-3776. That's the number. You know how this works, right? You can say, okay, he's doing a show alone. No, he's not. You're my co-host. And the way we exercise that is that you call in. I give you the floor. 1-800-919-3776. Lots to do today. Mike Lupica is going to join us at 2:30 on his Wednesday spot. So make it a point to be there. Hey, the FanDuel Kick of Destiny is back, and this time it's every Manning for himself. This Super Bowl, 2 legends will take the field in a sudden death field goal showdown. Peyton versus Eli. Live from New Orleans. 1 kick to claim ultimate family bragging rights. Who will rise to the moment? Pick your winner now on the FanDuel app, and if you pick the right brother, you'll earn a share of $10 million in bonus bets. It's the FanDuel Kick of Destiny 3. Make your free pick, and don't forget to tune in to watch the showdown live during the Super Bowl 59 pregame show on Fox at 3 p.m. May the best Manning win. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/K. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. 21 plus, physically present in New York. No purchase necessary. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy, comfy. I'm cozy, cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes, blisters. And that's because I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and t-shirts that give back. One purchased equals one donated. Now go to bombas.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes per detail.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
So let me give you a little inside ESPN New York stuff. All right, so our show used to be simulcasted on Yes. And so they had the cameras in here and everything, and there were television lights, and it was always really, really bright in here. And the other day, because we have not come to an agreement to simulcast the show, they took down the cameras and they took out the lights. And right now, this room is so dark that it looks like I'm doing a show in a mausoleum. I can't even see the stuff I have to read. It's unbelievable how dark it is. I didn't realize that the television lights added so. I thought those were just lights that were in the studio, but they were the television lights installed by Yes. It's unbelievable. I feel like I'm doing this underground. Amazing. Amazing. Hey, Lids is opening a brand new store, and you're invited to the grand opening celebration this weekend. Stop by this Friday between noon and 2 p.m. for a chance to win a $150 shopping spree with Peter Rosenberg. How about that? On Saturday between 10 and 11 a.m., meet Yankees great Nick Swisher. It's all happening this Friday and Saturday at Lids on West 42nd Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. You can also score a $50 Lids Times Square gift card on the ESPN New York app. Just find the contest tile and submit your entry, get in the game, and make it a day to remember at Lids. So we're talking what Hal Steinbrenner said yesterday on the Yes Hot Stove to Meredith Marakovits is certainly causing a bit of an uproar by people. And listen, you could say the Yankees should be spending what the Dodgers could spend, and they could if they want to. I just don't think they think it's necessary. But the thing that I will push back on, I see some people on social media. Some of them are, there's one guy, I'm not even going to say his name, such a hater. Hal doesn't care, he writes. Really? Then why does he have a $301 million payroll? So he only cares to what? To an extent that he doesn't want to overspend? So how does he not care? Because if he didn't care, then they have a payroll of 200 or 180, and they'd still be competitive. Because where's the highest payroll in the American League? Oh, yeah, it resides in the Bronx. Nobody comes close. The Red Sox don't come close. The Houston Astros don't come close. There are certain businessmen, the way they run their teams. Look at Jim Crane. Can you imagine if Hal Steinbrenner traded a guy like Kyle Tucker because he knew he wasn't going to sign him? They knew there was a chance they weren't going to sign Juan Soto last year. He kept him because he wanted to make a run at the World Series. The Astros traded their best player. And if he's not the best player, he's 1A to Yordan Alvarez. They traded him. They traded Ryan Presley. The sticking point with Alex Bregman is Alex Bregman wants a 7-year deal, and Jim Crane's is at 6. And he won't budge. He will not give a 7-year deal to any player. So what do the Astro fans think of Jim Crane? There are certain ways that certain people do business. And they're not going to let the way other people do business influence the way they do business. You have to believe in your process. And the Yankee process last year got them to the World Series in Game 5 of the World Series. They ultimately lost. And I'm sure it gnaws at them. But if you look at this Yankee team and you look at last year's Yankee team and you tell me that this year's Yankee team is not better, I don't know what you're looking at. So when somebody like posts something, Hal doesn't care, you know what? There's nothing that Hal Steinbrenner could do to make you happy. There's just not. There's not. You have this dreamland thought process that everything was different when George was the owner. But the last time they won a World Series, Hal ran the team. Bobby in Belmore. Bobby.
Hi, good afternoon, Mike.
How you doing, Bob?
I agree with you that the Yankees could get back to the World Series because the AL is so weak. But I disagree with you. I don't think the team is better. I think actually it's a little worse. And I'm going to tell you why position by position, please.
Okay.
DJ LeMahieu or Torres? Oh, yeah, yes. Torres has his... No,
you can't. No. You can't say that. It's Chisholm or Torres. Chisholm's playing second.
They lost Torres, and DJ's going to replace him.
Right.
So I'm saying... You understand what I'm saying? So it's going to be DJ instead of Torres in the infield. Torres is on base every game in the postseason last year. Hit 300 as a leadoff.
Bobby, would you have re-signed Torres? That's my question to you. A guy who
1 year. 1 year.
Okay, but why? They know him better than anybody. The guy didn't play hard all the time. He was not a good defensive second baseman.
But DJ doesn't even play the last 2 years.
I get it.
Right?
I still don't think we know the third baseman who's going to start on opening day. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. Let me get to position by position quick. I don't want you to hang up. Bellinger or Soto. Bellinger's a 211 postseason hitter. Yes, Torres. Soto can't field, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear it. Bellinger is a real good fielder, but he's 211 in the postseason, so we'll see what happens with that. We know that's an up-downgrade, too. Now, Bobby,
I can't let you go on because you're cherry picking things to your own advantage to fill your narrative. You have to look at the 26-man roster and the 26-man roster from last year. Don't go position by position. Is the bullpen better with Devin Williams? Of course it is. Is the rotation better with Max Fried? Of course it is. Will they be able to make up for the production of Juan Soto? I'm not sure. It's going to be tough. But the compilation of all 9 people on the field, maybe they can. Is the defense better? So don't give me position by position, Bobby, because that's nonsense. You're giving me nonsense to fill your narrative. And I'm not going to sit here and give you the airtime to allow you to do it. You want back Gleyber Torres. I've been doing this show now. This is the 23rd year. All I ever heard was Torres doesn't play hard. Torres is lazy. Torres is not a good defender. He's too nonchalant. And now suddenly you want him back. I told you last year, all year, he was not coming back. And everybody remembers the second half of the season when he moved the leadoff. How did he do in the first half of the season? He did not have a good year overall last year. So you're going to tell me, okay, he played well in the playoffs. Okay, great. Judge didn't play well in the playoffs. Do you not want him back? That's silly thinking. It doesn't make sense what you're saying. Nick in New Jersey. Nick.
Good afternoon, Mike. Thanks for taking my call. Congratulations on the news.
Thank you.
My first question was a simple one, was that I was wondering, the luxury tax, you talk $88 million for the Dodgers. Where does that money go?
It goes to a pool, Nick, and then it's distributed to the lower market teams. And that's the biggest argument that people have, because those teams pocket that money and they don't spend it.
Well, that should make them, that should provide some parity then, the big teams that are spending all this money and then giving it to the small market teams. But you're saying they're not doing the same things that the Dodgers and the big market teams are doing.
But in fairness, Nick, the money that those small market teams are getting, so let's say the Oakland A's are getting $60 million. That mean they can't have a $380 million payroll, even with the shared money from the penalties.
No, it's not a lot. But the other thing I wanted to say, Mike, if I may, I heard you say about the Yanks. I'm a Yankees fan, and the Yanks and the Dodgers are not better than the Yanks. Well, I have to say that the definition of better is the team that comes through. The Dodgers did not melt down or did not make all the errors in the World Series. They may be the same in terms of skills, both teams. But when it came to the pressure, the Dodgers did not make the errors. The Dodgers did not make the mistakes. So by that definition, I would say that they're a better team.
That's very fair.
The way you get,
That's the ultimate judge. But what Hal said and what I agree with, as you just said, talent-wise, there's not that much of a difference between the two teams. The Yankees gave the series away. I don't know if they played perfect baseball if they win, Nick, but the Yankees just didn't play as well as the Dodgers. So if you want to say that's also a checkbox on the Dodgers side, I would agree with you. It was. They played. They showed up when they had to. The Yankees didn't.
and I'm sorry for that, and I hope that they prepare for this season because we don't want to repeat. But I'm a Yankees fan, and they're the team I'll follow forever. But I think this year the Dodgers, by the way they played, were better. And that's all I can say. Thank you, Michael.
You got it. It's hard to argue. The team that wins is the better team. And Hal said they weren't better than us. They played better than us. He didn't say that we were better than them. They were very evenly matched. The Dodgers, a pitching staff from last year, was ravaged. Ravaged. You look at the pitching staff they went into postseason. I mean, there were so many games that they used the bullpen. They showed ingenuity. The front office knew what it was doing, got certain players that really contributed very, very well, and they didn't make the mistakes that the Yankees made. The Yankees can't get out from under that. And that's the thing that Steinbrenner said to Meredith yesterday, too. That's the thing that sticks in our craw, makes it even worse. We didn't play our best. You know, if you play your best and you lose, and you tip your cap. But if you play like the Yankees did, the way they did in Game 5, and then it eats away at you, and that's their fault. That's their fault. It's also their fault that they came up with a brilliant idea of relieving Nestor Cortez, who hadn't pitched in a month and a half, in a moment like that, when it should have been Tim Hill. They can explain it any way they want. It was the wrong move. I said it at the time, sitting in the yes. I said, why are they bringing in Nestor Cortez? And then later in the series, they brought in Tim Hill in the exact same spot. And you know what? He got the job done. And there's no excuse for what they did in Game 5. None. The fifth inning of Game 5 will go down in infamy as one of the worst innings in the history of the Yankee franchise. It is what it is. They played terrible baseball. They played sloppy baseball. Let's go to Steve in New Fairfield. Steve.
Hey, Michael. How are you, bud?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You know what? Over the years of 40-plus years of watching sports, my mindset has kind of changed. I don't know if it helps me deal being a Jet fan or whatever. But
right.
I'm also a Yankee fan. I used to be more ticked off, like, oh, damn, Patriots got so lucky. And even recently with the Chiefs, they get lucky. We always think about talent, or we gave it away, mistakes. And Richard, obviously, he's a big caller on your show. It's been his theme the past week about no one won the game. Being the best team isn't just about who's got power, who runs a 4.5 You making the big plays at the big time and not making errors, not giving away is part of being the good team. The Chiefs, why do the Chiefs always catch a break? Or during the Brady years, they just never made mistakes and made big plays at big times. So giving games away, you were not the better team. So, I mean, I think that's something we have to consider more than just who was just as talented.
I could not agree with you more. I mean, part of being a great team is to do everything right, and the Yankees didn't do everything right. So they were great to an extent, but it didn't get them over to get the championship trophy. It's on them that they made those mistakes. It's on them. It's on them that the ball was dropped in center field. It's on them that first base wasn't covered. It's on them that Volpe made the throw to third base that resulted in error. It's on them. You have to be tight. You have to be clean. You have to play the game that way. And they did not in the biggest moment. Doesn't take away that they were the American League champions. Were they better than the Dodgers? No, because the Dodgers won. That's how we keep score. Who won? Dodgers won. They're better. But I know what Hal's saying. Talent-wise, there's not that much of a disparity if there was one at all. I'd like to see that World Series played where they bring in Tim Hill and the fifth inning doesn't happen. But it did happen, and they did bring in Nestor Cortez. They did. And I'm sure that was a grand plan that they had. Oh, in this moment, we're going to outsmart everybody. We'll bring in Nestor Cortez because his stuff plays up better against Freeman and Otani. Okay, but later in the series, you brought in Hill, and he got those guys out. So you entrusted the game that probably spun the series in the Dodgers' favor. You entrusted that to a guy that didn't pitch for a month and a half. I could sit down with Aaron Boone, and he could explain it 10 times to the hills, and I would still disagree. That was not the right move. And it turned out to not be the right move. And there's no knock on Nestor Cortez. Not a knock at all. He's a gritty, gutty competitor. I liked watching him play. But that was not the spot for him. You're bringing in a starter who had not pitched in a month and a half in one of the biggest moments in the World Series. How different is that World Series if the Yankees win Game 1? How different? I think it'd be quite different. 1-800-919-3776. Co-host Step Up. 1-800-919-3776. Mike Lupica at 2:30. Right now at Bay Ridge Honda, kick off the new year in style. Come and get New Year savings all month long. Explore amazing deals across their full lineup of Honda cars, trucks, SUVs, hybrids, and EVs. New Hondas are in stock and ready for you. Save thousands on a new Honda with 0% APR. Drive a new Honda from $229 a month. Don't miss the biggest savings during the kickoff the New Year sales event. Plus, receive thousands in benefits and savings with their Bay Ridge Plus Advantage plan. Upfront pricing, total peace of mind. Visit BayRidgeHonda.com.
TaxAct knows filing your taxes can be complicated, and that's why we have live experts to help you with any questions. They can hold your hand through the process beginning to end. Metaphorically, of course. I mean, they can't actually hold your hand in person. I suppose you could hold your computer mouse while you chat with the expert about capital gains or whatever, which is sort of like holding hands. Sorry, point is, our tax experts can make filing easier. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Harry Douglas here for Technique's new noise-canceling True Wireless AZ80 earbuds. Techniques has been revolutionizing the audio game for almost 60 years. With multi-point connection of up to 3 devices at the same time, the AZ80s let you go from leading a meeting to listening to a podcast to taking a call seamlessly. Visit us.techniques.com/sports to shop for AZ80s now. That's us.technics.com/sports.
So it's a new year, 2025, and you're thinking, how am I going to make this year different? How am I going to build something for myself? The best time to start your new business is right now, and Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. No coding or design skills required. All you need to do is drag and drop. Their powerful social media tools let you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts and help you sell everywhere people scroll. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff, like growing your business. What happens if you don't act now? Will you regret it? What if someone beats you to the idea? Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/network, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/network to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/network.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Michael K. Show, everybody. I don't know what goes on in Philadelphia. So they have this thrilling, exhilarating win over the Commanders that send them to the Super Bowl, and then the city of Philadelphia begins to celebrate. And, in the past, they've greased the street poles so that people can't climb up. I mean, this is such a tragedy. An 18-year-old Temple student climbed up a light pole while celebrating the Eagles' championship win. He's holding onto a street pole, then he slipped and fell flat on his back, hitting his head on the concrete. Hospitalized with a brain injury and pronounced dead 2 days later. Why? What a senseless loss of life. Why? What is the big kick of climbing up street lamps? Why does Philadelphia go nuts when they win? They won. It's like anarchy. And they won. Imagine you're the family of this kid, and his name was Tyler Sabathapi, and you get a call Your son died. He was celebrating the Philly, and he's from Toronto too, celebrating the Eagles' victory, and he fell off a pole. I mean, people, please. What an awful story. This stuff has ramifications. There has to be some semblance of societal norms. Why does this stuff happen in Philly? Why are they climbing up poles in Philly? Do you hear any other city that wins climb up poles? And they didn't win anything yet. They're going to the Super Bowl, but they haven't won anything. To go nuts like that? Well, it's time for Superbox Bonanza 6. Each qualifier will take home an ESPN prize pack and have a chance at one of 10 Superbox prizes, including a Ninja air fryer, Solo stove, Ray-Ban Meta Wayfarers, and more. Be caller number 10 right now at 888-987-ESPN to select the box for the big game with a chance to win $250 in the first and third quarters, $500 at halftime, and a final score payout of $1,000. All brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey and Sloman's Security. So during the break, our Pinhead Suit brings in a package that's addressed to me and Don LaGreca. So I open it, and it was packed as if it was a Hope Diamond, and it took a lot to open it with a lot of popping paper, whatever. And it's a 3-man bobblehead. And the bobblehead, Don's in the middle, Peter is on his right, and then I assumed it was me on the left. But, I'm very self-aware. And the little bobblehead on the left of Don was incredibly good-looking and had a beautiful hairline. I said, this isn't me. I said, this is Alan. Why would they send me the bobblehead of Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg? And there's a clear problem in the bobblehead. All three of them are the exact same height. Now, if Peter was standing on 2 telephone books, I'd understand. He's the exact same height as Don. No, he's not. You didn't do it to scale. And I'd like to know the reason why I got sent that. Send a bobblehead of me. I know there's not enough plastic in the world to do a bobblehead of you. I get it. I've heard it.
You know what?
But my old producer, Anthony Pusick, who loves the fact that he's my old producer, Anthony.
Hi, Michael.
Peter's not that size, am I right?
I didn't even, this is interesting. I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, it's like Peter on roids.
And it was addressed to you.
Yeah, addressed to me for what reason?
I don't know. Hanging on the rim?
Now, the one that really looks good is Don.
Oh.
I mean, they really captured Don.
Tremendous.
But Peter wishes he was that height.
You can't make Han a bobblehead, you know?
No, but Han looks very handsome there. I think they caught his essence too.
I agree.
But Peter, I don't think so.
I don't think you're wrong there.
Do you miss me at all, Anthony?
Of course I miss you,
don't
Michael.
lie. Don't.
I talk to you every day, though, so I feel very blessed to still be able to be in your presence.
Nah, I tell you a story walking. Hey, Game Time is brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. At 7:30 tonight, Knicks host the Nuggets at Madison Square Garden. Pregame begins at 7 right here on 880 ESPN. Also, 7 p.m., the Nets are in Charlotte to play the Hornets. And also, again at 7 p.m., the Devils host the Flyers at the Prudential Center. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew. Try the new Tullamore Dew Honey during tonight's action. Classes up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. 1-800-919-3776. We've got Lupica at 2:30. A lot more stuff to talk about. We'll go to the phones right now. Dave in Westchester. Dave.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Good.
I agree with you. I think the Yankees are a better team this year than last year, even with Soto. I just want to ask you a question because it would make me feel a lot better. I mean, do you think that the Yankees can win a World Series if Judge always has, I'm just going to say subpar, I'm not going to say terrible, if he has a subpar playoffs year after year after year after year, can they win if he has if he bats 140 or 120? Can they still win the World Series? I'm just asking your opinion.
You know what? It would make it a lot more difficult, Dave. I think it's a fair question. They almost won a World Series last year, and he didn't hit well. So yeah, it means that everybody else has to pick up the slack. Obviously, the route to the World Series becomes a lot easier if, in fact, Aaron Judge hits like Aaron Judge during the regular season. But can you get around it? Yeah. Ohtani didn't have a good World Series. He was hurt. He didn't have a good World Series for the Dodgers. Guess what? They won the World Series. Everybody else has to pick up the slack. But in a perfect world, well, of course you want Judge to play the way Judge plays during the regular season. That's the way the team is designed, to take advantage of him. But again, they were 3 wins away from winning the World Series with Judge being subpar. Although I still contend, and you might say I'm out of my mind, that Judge had a home run, a double, and 2 walks in Game 5. He was ready to take off, but Game 6 and Game 7 never happened. 1-800-919-3776. We're going to talk about the Mets a little bit and Met fans, because it's very curious what they did over the weekend at the amazing day at Citi Field. Super Bowl 59. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether you're predicting the first touchdown, who'll take home the MVP trophy, or the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to place your bets and feel the thrill of every moment. With live betting all game long, you can jump into the action, adjust your bets, and ride the wave of excitement from kickoff to the final whistle. Plus, to make the Super Bowl even sweeter, new customers can score $200 when you make your first bet. Just place a $5 bet, and if you win, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/K. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. 21 plus, physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
You know what? Check yourself.
Hear more from Michael K. weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN.
Suck it up and like it.
The ESPN New York app and your smart speakers.
Puka, Bella, I'm sure you've noticed some changes.
Who are you talking to?
I'm just practicing for when I have to tell the dogs about the twins. You know, because they'll
Be fine in the spacious third row seat.
But the twins...
Can sleep peacefully thanks to the rear manual sunshade.
And what about the...
Extra cargo space for strollers and dog beds.
I guess you're right.
Can we go to the hospital now? The contractions are getting closer.
The 3-row Lexus TX, because everyone should feel like the center of the universe. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
This is the Michael K. Show podcast.
I gotta get more K.
Listen live weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN, the ESPN New York app, and your smart speaker.
Welcome back to the Michael K. Show, everybody. Final hour of the show. At 3 o'clock, it's Don Hahn and Rosenberg. You know, I take a closer look at the bobblehead that I was sent, and the thing that's startling to me and almost a little frightening, Peter's taller than the other 2 guys. He's taller.
What the F?
He's taller than Don. He's taller than Hahn. I mean, in what bizarre world did they do this to scale? It doesn't make sense. If you want to see it, Anthony sent it out on X, but it's a little disconcerting. A little disconcerting. 1-800-919-3776. So the Mets did something I thought they pulled off really extraordinarily well with their amazing day at Citi Field. Great publicity for the franchise. Great to have the fans meet and greet players up close and personal. That's invaluable. I thought they pulled it off beautifully. And the fact the owner was there and was part of a panel led by Gary Cohen of SNY, I thought it was well done. But here's what I don't understand. And listen, fans, you can do whatever you want. I'm not criticizing a specific fan base. But the fans, as Steve Cohen and David Stearns are trying to talk, they're cheering, "We want Pete." And then when Stearns tries to explain what's going on, they're booing. And then they kind of started booing a little bit when Cohen spoke. I mean, the hubris of a fan base. The guy just spent almost $1 billion to bring in the greatest free agent in the history of the New York Met franchise. And there should be boos to the GM and slight boos to the owner. Did you forget what he just did? And if he wants to draw a line in the sand when it comes to Pete Alonso, you know what? Why don't you accept it? Why don't you accept that maybe he knows what he's doing? The gratitude. Where's the gratitude, everybody, for the money that he spent to bring in Juan Soto for 15 years? Are you people out of your mind? If I'm Steve Cohen, he said all the right things. And I said this yesterday, handled himself beautifully. The way he explained why they haven't come to an agreement. Handled himself beautifully. If I'm Steve Cohen after that, I'm going, those ungrateful. I mean, again, I got you Juan Soto for what's going to amount to $800 million. 4 years ago, I bought the whole damn team for about $2 billion. Are you out of your mind? But fans are going to be fans. Fans are fans in, I guess. Really odd. Really, really odd. I mean, the cubes on the fans that did that. It's just amazing to me. Now, there seems to be a furthering of the Alonso story where Andy Martino of SNY is reporting that he's not going to beat the offer even with the Blue Jays, Pete Alonso. He's not. So will he crawl back to the Mets? Will the Mets have him save face somehow? Will he have to end up going to the Angels where he will have no chance to win? He has really painted himself into a tough corner. So a couple of weeks ago, it looked like there was no chance they were getting him back. Most people would bet that he wouldn't. But there's no market that's developed for him. There's just none. Which shows you how he and Boris misread the market. 30-year-old first baseman, corner infielder, not that athletic. You're not going to get a 7-year deal. Pete Alonso will rue the day 2 years ago when Billy Epler was the GM and they offered him $158 million and he didn't take it. So the Mets are holding firm. My contention is I don't think they'd be crestfallen or crushed if they don't get him. I'm actually leaning toward they probably don't want him. But if they get him for 3 years at $68 to $70 million, they won. They won. Because it still doesn't cripple you if you want to get Vlad Guerrero during the offseason next year. Because you just turn Pete Alonso into a DH for the final 2 years of his contract. I feel badly for guys that misread the market. I really do. Feel badly for them. Because they're dreaming big dreams. I think Pete Alonso got Aaron Judged. Well, same city. I broke his home run record for rookies at 53. I'll get about what he got. No, you won't. You're not the player he is. You're just not. You don't hit for average. You're not a plus defender in right field. You don't run the bases like he does. You don't do the things that Aaron Judge does. Your value to the Mets is not near the value that Aaron Judge is to the Yankees. Just not. One other quick point. When did it become a thing? I guess it's probably recent, where athletes get all pouty and they don't follow the team that they're on anymore. Because according to a lot of reports yesterday, Marcus Stroman, the Yankee starter, actually stopped following the Yankees on Instagram. What does that accomplish? To what end is what is he doing? And it's not just Marcus. Other players do it all the time. It means that they're unhappy where they are. But I'm sure that the Yankees know that Marcus Stroman is not thrilled with him not being in the rotation. And let me tell you the conundrum that the Yankees are facing when it comes to Stroman. So they want to, in all likelihood, trade him to create more salary space where they could pick up a second or a third baseman. And they want the team that gets Marcus Stroman to eat as much of the $18 million as possible. I mean, I think if they find a team that would eat $8 million of it, they'd be lucky. But the Yankees also have to be worried. If they trade Stroman to a team that's going to start him 30 times in the next year, then he's going to pitch 140 innings. And that means the $18 million third year kicks in. It's not an option. 140, $18 million kicks in. So the team that's going to trade for Marcus Stroman probably wants the Yankees to pick up that $18 million. Now, let's look at it from Marcus Stroman's view. Marcus Stroman does not want to be the sixth starter on the Yankees. Because if he's the sixth starter on the Yankees, he's pitching out of the bullpen. He'd be lucky to get to 80 innings on the season. That means he cost himself $18 million. Or the Yankees cost him $18 million. So he signed with the Yankees to be a starter. He didn't sign with the Yankees to be a reliever. Because then that $18 million third year doesn't kick in. That's why it's so difficult at this point to trade him. How much are you willing to take of the 18? And you're also going to have to be willing to take all of the 18 next year if he accrues 140 innings. And then, if you're Stroman, you desperately want to get out unless you're going to start. Because it could cost you $18 million. Because I'll tell you this, at the end of the 2025 season, Marcus Stroman's not going to have a free agent contract. It's going to pay him $18 million in 2026. He's getting older. He's not the same pitcher. It's a mess. And I said this before, so I'm not like Monday morning quarterbacking. When the Yankees signed that deal with Stroman, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Brian Cashman said a couple of years ago when he was available via trade with the Blue Jays, why would I trade him? He wouldn't even make our postseason rotation. And that got Marcus Stroman upset, rightfully so. And guess what? You signed him, and he didn't make your postseason rotation. So the way you actually evaluated him was correct. So why would you give a guy that at best is a fifth starter $18 million? When you could have somebody from your system pitch to a 4.0 ERA, something like that, at $1 million, and you committed to him essentially for 3 years. It made no sense. And now once you go out and get Max Fried, you've got your starting five. Cole, Rodon, Fried, Schmidt, the Rookie of the Year heel. Stroman doesn't make the rotation. I want to see how Brian navigates this. It's a mess that they created by giving this guy that contract. Can they extricate themselves from it? Now, there's another way the Yankees could look at it. We're satisfied with our third base situation. Either DJ or Oswaldo or Oswald Peraza. We're satisfied. We think that can get done. We'll keep Stroman because you could be the sixth starter going into spring training. What happened last year? Luis Hill wasn't even making the team. Garrett Cole got hurt. Luis Hill should have been an all-star in the first half of the season. He ends up winning the Rookie of the Year. Something always happens. And the old adage, you can never have enough pitching? Yeah, it's true. But do you want to pay an insurance policy $18 million a year? And if you're Marcus, do you want to be an insurance policy? Because if the Yankees don't cash that insurance policy, you're not getting to 140, which means you're not getting $18 million next year. Let's go to the phones. 1-800-919-3776. I don't know if I could articulate this more clearly. This is your opportunity to be a co-host where you don't just listen to me. You get your say and everything that's out there, not just stuff we've talked about, everything that's out there. 1-800-919-3776. Gail in L.A. Gail.
Hi.
Hello, Gail.
So I've been listening for a very long time. Huge Yankee fan. I just don't understand your obsession with Alex Rodriguez. He's a cheater. You have a young son, Charlie. Is that who you want Charlie looking up to? And if he ever gets into Monument Park, which he will never, it will be horrible.
He's not getting to Monument Park.
Oh, thank God.
But Gail, do you?
And he's not a real person.
Well, how do you know? Have you ever met him? Have you ever met him?
I watch him. That's my job.
But no. What you see on the air might be completely different than he is off the air. And when you say obsession, I don't quite know what you mean. What's my obsession? I've worked with the guy.
Talking about him and how much You said that he should be in Monument Park and in the Hall of Fame.
I have never,
You said the Yankees should give him a day and retire his number.
Gail, you misheard or you're lying. I have never said he should be in Monument
I'm not
Park.
lying.
Yes,
Maybe
you are.
I misheard.
Well,
Why would I lie about
Oh,
it?
well, then you misheard. So that's just as bad. You're lying to me. You're telling me I said something that I didn't say. And I've said over and over and over again, he's not getting into the Hall of Fame. He was suspended for a year for steroid use. He's not getting into the Hall of Fame. So I don't know where this obsession. I worked with him for 2 years, and on a personal level, I get along with him very, very well. And you think I'm telling Charlie that you should cheat in order to get it? Alex Rodriguez, by cheating, cost himself forever. He cost himself forever. He knows it. He's not getting into the Hall of Fame. He's not getting number 13 retired. They've given it away twice. They gave it away to Gallo, and they gave it away to Chisholm. 13's not getting retired by the Yankees. He's not getting into Monument Park. He knows exactly what happened with him. I never stopped talking about him. Really? Oh, okay. You hear what you want to hear. So I say you lied when you said that I said something, and you said, well, I misheard. Okay. Call it what you will. You said a mistruth on the air. I never said what you said. Ever. Ever. Chris in Long Island. Chris.
Oh, hey, Mike. How you doing, man?
Good, Chris. What's up?
Oh, pleasure to talk to you. You're awesome. I just wanted to say that.
Thanks,
so
man.
I wanted to ask Pete Alonso. I'm hearing that Cohen is talking to him again. You think there's a chance?
I think there's a chance.
Maybe?
I think there's a chance because I don't think that Pete has any other options. I mean, again, the only thing I'm hearing is the Blue Jays, and Martino is reporting that the Blue Jay offer is not what the Met offer is. And then there's some, sketchy rumors about the LA Angels. Does he want to go there where he's not going to make the playoffs? I don't know. I think if he ends up back at the Mets, he's going to end up back with the Mets on the Mets' terms. They will not have budged. They will not blink. I don't think they will blink. It'll be interesting to think, do you want a player that's been completely neutered to come back? Or do you throw him some kind of bone that saves him some face? Let's go to John in Freehold. John.
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
How you doing, John?
Good. I just want to piggyback off of what you were saying earlier about the press conference and the fans. Fan bases are fickle, and we know it. And now that we have an owner, I'm a major Mets fan. Now that we have an owner that wants to spend the money, now you have people coming out of the woodwork, and now it's really cool to be a Mets fan. For some of us who live through the Wilpons, there is nothing I trust more than Cohen and Stearns in this world. And where they draw the line, whatever line they're behind, is the line I'm behind, right behind them. And I'm doing anything I can to support them. Any Mets fan who watches the games can see. And I love Pete. Great guy. Nothing against him. We have a lot of memories with him. Awesome. All these teams that retool and rebuild without, feeling connected to the players and let them linger for too long and overpay them, those are the teams that succeed time and time again. And if Stearns believes he's seen his production fall off and he wants to offer him a certain amount of money, then all of us as fans need to shut up and get behind him.
Well, I want to ask you something, John, because you're a big Met fan.
Sure.
All right, so coming from me, it's going to be the Yankee boy nonsense, whatever. When you heard the fans react like they did to Stearns and Cohen, what was your reaction?
I said some explicit words in regards to the fans. I said exactly what you said. And I was actually talking with a few other Mets fans, and I were just friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I said the fact that these guys don't understand, the people who are there just think that an owner should bring in a professional GM who's done this before, buy Soto, bring him over, which we've never had in our entire existence as a Mets fan. Forget about everything else. We are always complaining, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, everyone gets the nice new toy. We finally got a guy, 26 years old, premier, arguably one of the best players in the league. And you're not going to trust the process. And what you do is you boo the owner when he comes out is mortifying. But I wanted to somehow find Steve Cohen's number and tell him, this is not indicative of how the real fans feel about you. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for them, and I feel bad, and I hope he knows that the majority of us love and appreciate and can't wait to see what comes down the road, what they did, what they built with the farm system. Everything he's done has been gold. So just keep to it, stay the course. We're behind him 100%. For the morons that were in attendance that booed, it's not indicative at all of how we.
I'm glad you articulated that so well because I'm looking at it through a different prism. I think that the Yankee fans that criticize Hal Steinbrenner are ridiculous and out of touch. But this owner has made you completely different, more relevant than when you were owned by the Wilpons, which you always complained about. And he just spent $805 million, almost $1 billion, to bring you this great player. Don't you think he gets a grace period? Instead, you're gotzing him about Pete Alonso? Unbelievable. Matt in Floral Park. Matt.
Mike, how you doing?
Good, Matt. What's up?
I'm hanging around with a couple of guys, and somehow the conversation got to a World Series and Yankees announcers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you know off the top of your head which announcer has witnessed the most World Series on their watch?
Matt, I think it's got to be Mel Allen. I think so because like John saw 5, I saw 5. Rizzuto kind of stepped back in '96, so he wasn't part of that championship run. He started in '57, so he got a couple of championships and then through the early '60s, but a lot of losing baseball as well. Red Barber, wasn't that Yankee announcer as much as he was the Dodger announcer. So I think it's got to be Mel Allen. Mel Allen probably has 12, 13 World Series that he saw. So, yeah, I think it's Mel Allen. It's not John and it's not me. And I don't think it's Phil, so it's definitely Mel Allen. 1-800-919-3776. Let's go to Roger on the Jersey Shore. Roger.
Michael, very good show.
Thanks, man.
You're a good listen.
Thank you.
I agree with you about Dominguez and left. He was horrible last year.
Who was? Oh, Dominguez and left?
Dominguez.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Oh.
I don't get their decision.
No. Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't have had a problem if they kept Verdugo this year. Seriously.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have gone that route because Verdugo was a good guy and played a very good left field, but I think they expected more from him offensively, and it didn't happen. And at some point, you got to let the young guys play. I mean, we keep hearing about, they never give their youth much play. Well, Clark Schmidt is out of their system. He's doing quite well. Louis Seal, after trade with the Marlins, actually progressed through the system. He won the Rookie of the Year. Anthony Volpe's won a Gold Glove at shortstop. So, I mean, they have given people chances. So if you're going to pay a lot of guys or a certain amount of guys a lot of money, in order to make the payroll manageable, there have to be young players that you call up through the system. So Dominguez has been the guy that's always been one of their top prospects for the last 5 years. They signed him when he was 16 years old. Now's the time. Let's see what you got. And if it doesn't work out, then you could pivot. Now, I don't think the pivot is Grisham. I don't think that's the pivot. I mean, if Grisham ends up playing every day, I don't think that's going to turn out great. I said this on the Hot Stove Show yesterday, and I truly believe it. The most important player for the Yankees this year, in order for them to get to where they want to go, is Dominguez. Now, obviously, Aaron Judge has to be Aaron Judge, so we're giving the other players their average year. But Dominguez has to show up. He's got to stay healthy, and he's got to perform. And if he doesn't, they've got a problem. Let's go to Joe and Brick. Joe.
How you doing, Michael? Good to talk to you.
Hey, Joe, what's up?
Nothing. You're a powerful man. You got me cutting out my music in the afternoon to tune in from 1 to 3. So
I love it. Thank you. I love it.
Hey, what do you think about the Yankees at third base? I mean, do you think they look at it as just like a position? They don't care about the name? Like, all right, we need a total of somebody, 260 average, an OPS of this. Like, they're not doing anything. Unless they are, and I just haven't heard about it.
Well, let's put it this way, Joe. They've got to convince me that they're going to go into the season with either DJ or Oswaldo or Oswald as their third baseman. I doubt it. But if they do, they do. Here's how they put together a team. They have an internal projection of how many wins the team's going to have and how that will play in their division and in their league. And as far as I know, I think their internal projection for this team 94 or 95 wins, which should easily win the East and should easily be the most wins in the American League. So even if it's a no-name at third base or a guy that you're not expecting much of, the composite of the whole, how many wins are we going to get out of the bullpen, the starting rotation, and our starting nine? And if they think it's going to be 94, 95, they don't care if it's a guy that you're not enamored with. Their projection is that they'll win 94, 95. But my gut feeling, it's just my gut, nobody's telling it, I'd be surprised if they go into spring training with that trio. Be surprised. Maybe they will, and maybe they'll readjust to make a trade during the season. But we'll see. We'll see. Hey, Superbox Bonanza 6, and your chance to get your box for the big game with a prize pool of $2,000. All qualifiers will get an ESPN prize pack and a chance at one of 10 Superbox prizes. Listen daily through February 6th to DiPietro and Rothenberg, Barton Carlin, The Michael K. Show, and Don Hahn and Rosenberg. This year's big game payouts are $250 in the first and third quarters, $500 at halftime, and a final score payout of $1,000. All brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey and Sloman Security. For full contest details, go to superboxbonanza.com. You get another opportunity for Superbox later on in the show. Now, coming up, Mike Lupica will join us, his weekly spot here on Wednesday, so stick around for that. Hey, when you work hard, you save hard, so treat yourself with well-earned savings all month long at Bay Ridge Mazda. Get financing rates as low as 0.9% APR, nearly every new car in stock. 0.9% APR. Their goal is complete credit approval regardless of your score. Plus, enjoy Bay Ridge Plus benefits like ding and dent coverage, key replacement, windshield protection, and roadside assistance. Visit them today in Brooklyn or online at BayRidgeMazda.com. See dealer for details.
So it's a new year, 2025, and you're thinking, how am I going to make this year different? How am I going to build something for myself? The best time to start your new business is right now, and Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. No coding or design skills required. All you need to do is drag and drop. Their powerful social media tools let you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts and help you sell everywhere people scroll. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff, like growing your business. What happens if you don't act now? Will you regret it? What if someone beats you to the idea? Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/network, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/network to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/network.
TaxAct knows you probably don't need help filing taxes. But if you get stuck, we have live experts you can talk to. And who knows, you could hit it off and become long-term tax friends, staying up late at night, talking about deductions, refunds, personal exemptions. Heck, you could even fall in love and create a little dependent of your own one day. Or they could just answer your filing questions. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road. Get in zone, AutoZone. So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone. Get in zone, AutoZone. And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. The Michael K. Show on until 3. At that time, it's Don Hahn and Rosenberg. But we still have a lot of show left to go because now we get a chance to talk to Mike Lupica of the New York Daily News. He writes for MLB.com. He's a best-selling author, man about town, a bon vivant. We love having him on Wednesday at this time. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. I've been getting a lot of this since the Chiefs won on Sunday. I'm sick of Mahomes. What is that about? I don't know if you're like me. I like watching greatness. Now, you might not like them and you want to see greatness knock off the mountain. That's cool. But to say you're sick of watching greatness, I don't understand that.
No, I think sports is more interesting when we've got a team or an athlete that my dear old friend Bob Drum used to call Bubba. That's what he called the best golfer in the world. He used to say Arnold was Bubba, then Jack was Bubba, and then he went on from there. I think the Bubba factor makes sports infinitely more interesting. Tiger made golf way more interesting. Michael made the NBA I love Bird and Magic, but you know what? I loved it even more when we had Michael for everybody to be shooting at. And Michael, I'll tell you something else. I don't think the Dodgers are bad for baseball, but whether they win again or not, and I'm not saying that they're going to be a dynasty like the Chiefs have been, or like Tiger was a dynasty in an individual sport, but that whole thing, and I'm telling you, I couldn't possibly be more tired already of the notion that the refs are dragging them across the finish line. Yeah, Patrick's 17-3 in the postseason because of the refs. And guess what? Yeah, Michael pushed off on Byron Russell before he made that shot. Get over it, everybody.
That narrative actually, to me, is disconcerting. Because people just come out and say, the refs are, on the take. They're told by the NFL. The NFL had 57.7 million people watch that game. You think they want to have some kind of scandal where it ever gets revealed that they're telling the refs to favor the Chiefs? I mean, it's incomprehensible that people actually believe that. But now we live in an era and in a society where there are all these ridiculous theorems that are looked at as true. I just don't get it. There's no way the NFL is telling their refs to not make calls against the Chiefs.
Michael, go back and look at that 4th and 1. Can I tell you for sure that he wasn't over the line? No. Can I tell you for sure that he was? And, it's going to be difficult. It's why I always wonder what we're going to do with automated umpires in baseball, because, it's one thing to measure the lines in tennis with Hawkeye, okay?
Right.
There's the line, there's the court. I don't know how you measure the air, because, and I think on that call, I don't want to get us sidetracked here, I think one of the things that hurt Josh Allen is one of the things that can hurt you on that play because he went sideways, which he does a lot. And by the way, Michael, how come nobody talks about how lucky they were to get the call on the previous 4th and 1 and the previous, this diminishes the greatness of the Chiefs, what we're witnessing. The best player I've ever seen in Patrick Mahomes, whether he wins this game or not, this extraordinary record they have at this time of year and in close games. Listen, would I have been happy if Josh Allen won? Yeah. I find it hard to root against Mahomes. But I would have been happy if the Bills won. But guess what, Michael? At the end of the day, somebody explained to me what the refs had to do with the fact that Josh had the ball in his hands and the season and the game with 2 minutes to go and had to do a chance to do one of those drives like, Joe Montana against the Bengals in the Super Bowl, and did not put the ball into the end zone or get close enough for a field goal. Game, set, match, in my opinion.
I thought he was very pedestrian. I don't think he played poorly, but he didn't play great. And in those situations, you have to play great. He missed a lot of throws early. And you know what? You talk about that 4th and 1, Mike. How about stop running the same stupid damn play?
Right,
you're running the tush-push,
right.
And you're not doing it the way the Eagles do it.
Michael, the tush push, in my opinion, is not football. It's a tractor pull. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how you can legislate, but you're 100% right. Yeah, keep going with that. Don't give the ball to Cook, who's having the day of his life. Okay, Michael, I'm telling you, I know that the Bills are the heartbreak team from the heartbreak capital of professional football in the 90s and now. I get that. Okay. But if you can't make a yard with your season on the line, I don't want to hear about the refs afterwards.
Absolutely. And one other reason that they win all the time, Mike, They play exquisite football. They have an exquisite coach, a great defensive coordinator. They don't make mistakes. I think mistakes are what cost you those games. It cost the Ravens the chance to beat the Bills. You can't make mistakes, and they run precise plays. I mean, they are a well-oiled machine. Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches of all time.
He's in the conversation now, I believe, with Lombardi and Belichick and Bill Walsh and Chuck Noll and Parcells, anybody you want to bet, okay? And Michael, you're 100% right. It goes back to the old mantra from Bill Belichick: do your job. Dan Orlovsky pointed this out the other day, and he's right. You can point to like 10 guys for the Chiefs who in a big moment did something great the other day.
Yep.
And obviously they've got number 15 and nobody else does. They've got number 87 and nobody else does. They got Spags and nobody else does. But every receiver who had to make a play made a play. When they stopped him down on the goal line, they were in the perfect. When Spags had to call the perfect blitz, one he had not called the whole game, he calls it. And Michael, here's what I was thinking. When Patrick makes that little swing pass out to the left to officially end the game, okay, on 3rd and 5, or whatever it was, okay? What prevented the Bills from running a similar play to get the first down they needed in going with a tush push that had become extremely problematic at that point?
And it's also interesting, too, Mike, and I'm glad you brought up that play, because when you win, you get equity, and you could take chances. If Andy Reid throws the ball there on 3rd and 5 and it's dropped, you've stopped the clock. You've given the Bills a better chance to actually come back and win the game. He didn't care because he's got rings to make that decision. I don't think the Bills have the guts to do something like that.
Michael, I did not like the game plan in big stretches of that game, and I think Joe Brady did a great job for the Bills this year, okay? But here's how conditioned you are, though, to expect the Chiefs to do the kinds of things that you're talking about, Michael, okay? Zach, my youngest son, Zach, who's, people call my brain, okay? When Josh gets the ball with 2 minutes left, okay, Zach is already texting me and saying, don't score too soon. Thinking, okay, yeah, you're going to take him down the field, but if you give him too much time, you're going to lose anyway.
Right. And you know what? And 13 seconds was proved to be too much time once. So, I mean, he's extraordinary. He just is.
It was a wonderful sports event, Michael. It was a wonderful sports event. No one can be surprised at the outcome. Nobody can be surprised. All year long, I listened to this harping about how, well, they're not the same, or they keep winning those close games. Michael, there's an expression in golf that covers that. Not how, but how many.
Right.
Okay. I don't care whether they win by one. If they have to block a field goal against the Broncos, they block the field goal. It goes on and on and on. And when you look at this body of work, Michael, you see how close this team is to having gone to 7 Super Bowls.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
They've had some breaks, absolutely. They've had some stuff go their way, but Burrow clips them that one time. Brady gets them one time when they still had the dopey rule that if you won the coin flip in overtime. And the only reason that they lost that game is because a guy lined up off. Remember, he lined up, I think, offside before Brady threw the interception that would have lost the game. Oh no, this is. Listen, Mike. I think I've told you this story before. I was sitting with Brian Leach one time after Wayne Gretzky had come to the Rangers, and I said, "You must feel so lucky to get to play with him." And Brian looked at me and said, "No, I feel lucky to be living in this time and having gotten to watch him." And that's the way I feel about the Chiefs.
That's the way I look at it, too. I mean, people that hate on this guy, we're lucky that we were alive to see Jordan. We're lucky that we were alive to see Magic and Bird and now Patrick Mahomes. Anyway.
And Torrey and Michael and Torrey's Yankees.
Yes.
I mean, they were this, okay? They were this, and they were that close to winning 5 or 6 World Series in a row.
Right. And, I mean, we were unlucky that we weren't alive to see Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig and things like that, but we should cherish the fact that we could see this. One thing that I disagreed, we had a discussion yesterday, me and Jeff Passan, and I said, what you got Sunday in the NFL, Buffalo against Kansas City, that could never happen in baseball because there could not be a team in Buffalo in baseball, And you could not keep together the Kansas City Royals for 7 AFC championships in a row. And people wonder why, football prints money. They've got the formula. I don't think baseball could ever do that because you can't put the milk back in the udder where everybody shares everything equally 30 ways. So, I mean, that just shows you there could not be a baseball team in Green Bay, Michael. There just couldn't be.
Michael, you know where this goes back to? This goes back to one of the great gentlemen either one of us have ever met in sports, and that is Mr. Wellington Mara, who way back when the television money started to come in, made sure that everybody got the same piece of the pie, okay? And in that sport, that contributed. It was literally right after that we had the great Packers team of the 60s, and the great Pittsburgh team, and on, and the great Raiders team. I don't know what baseball can do. And again, you can look back over like the last 10 years of baseball and see that until the last couple, it's been very rare for the team with the biggest payroll to win.
Right.
Okay, there have been. I looked it up one time and I don't have it in front of me, but I know that that's a fact. Now, when we see what the Mets are doing, what we see what the Dodgers are doing, what we see even with the mild belly aching from Hal, what the Yankees are doing, you have a right to wonder what possible scenario can there be where the Pittsburgh Pirates ever win another World Series, okay? Where the Milwaukee Brewers ever win a World Series. Now, maybe if Pete Alonso doesn't hit that home run, who knows what the Brewers might have done last October. We will never know that, okay? But there's one thing that baseball's got to get out in front of, Mike, and I don't have the answer for that, and that is deferred money. Because deferred money, to me, it's brilliant on their part, but in another way, it's kind of gaming the system.
Yeah, I asked somebody today in the know. I said, why don't the Yankees defer money? Because the Yankees don't want to operate with a deficit. They just don't. The Dodgers have no problem with it. They're a hedge fund. They're going to take that money, and other teams don't have that capability. They're not hedge funds. So once baseball's sold to the Guggenheim partners, Mike, all bets are off. Unless you put something in that you can't defer money, they're going to have an advantage because they can invest the money and make money. They're going to make money off the Ohtani contract. They will. They could play with $68 million a year for 10 years. I think they're going to do okay with it.
And I think Uncle Steve is going to make money off of Juan Soto, Michael. I do. I mean, I think you're going to see a whole different level, just attendance for the Mets this year. But again, going back to what you said about the Chiefs, I just think that people who are grousing about this, and oh, by the way, where's that team from? Kansas City.
Right.
Okay? And it's just, to me, it's thrilling. I think it's I think we got a wonderful Super Bowl set up because as interesting as it's going to be to see Saquon, and as interesting as it going to be to see Patrick go against that defense, it's going to be very interesting for me to see one of the great guys in football and somebody I've known a long time, Steve Spagnuolo. And I just don't think Spags is going to let Saquon run up and down the field. That's just me.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. He's going to come up with something to slow him down. I don't know if you could completely stop him, but I think he's not going to be as much of a dominating factor as he's been because Spagnuolo is going to do the whole defense around him and dare Jalen Hurts to beat him by the throw. I think. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm happy with, even though it's not a direct rematch, I'm perfectly happy with this game. I don't know. You know, the Lions, it would have been a great story if the Lions got there. Obviously, it would have been a great story if the Bills had gotten there. But, Michael, these are the two best teams, and they're going to go toe-to-toe in New Orleans. I can't wait.
Mike, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Okay, pal. Bye-bye.
All right, that's Mike Lupica. Tampa Bay Rays just made a really, really, really smart signing, broken by our very own Jeff Passan. I'll tell you what they did when we get back. Also want to talk to you, 1-800-919-3776. And we have another Super Box to give away before we turn it over to Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. Right here on 880 ESPN.
There's one thing that will forever change the way you sleep, and it's the softest 100% organic cotton bedding from Boll & Branch. You'll fall asleep faster, wrapped in the most luxurious comfort. You'll never sleep hot again with airy blankets, cloud-like duvets, and breathable sheets. You'll experience pure comfort on night one and feel your bedding get softer with every wash. Discover the difference with 15% off your first order at bowlingbranch.com with code SPORTS15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod at checkout.
Harry Douglas here. Say goodbye to bulky, clunky shavers that clutter your bathroom. Not only do you get an incredible shave, Panasonic's Palm Razor has a sleek, elegant design that adds a touch of sophistication to your bathroom. It also conveniently charges with a USB cord. Visit shop.panasonic.com/sports to shop for the Palm Razor. Use promo code HARRY for 10% off exclusively for ESPN radio listeners. That's shop.panasonic.com/sports, promo code HARRY.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so Jeff Passan reporting exclusively that the Tampa Bay Rays are in agreement on a 2-year, $29 million contract that includes an opt-out after the first season with Hae-Sung Kim. It's a smart signing by them. Kim is coming off shoulder surgery, probably going to be ready to return in May. And Wander Franco, that is a situation that is not even close to being resolved. Not even close to being resolved. So Hae-Sung Kim is going to end up playing shortstop for the Rays, and Hae-Sung Kim can pick it with anybody. Anybody. So they've been playing Taylor Walls, who can pick it with anybody at shortstop, but Hae-Sung Kim is a better offensive player. Smart signing by the Rays. It's actually for more money than I thought the Rays would go. But the market is what the market is, and he has an opt-out after this year, and it's smart by him. So I don't know how much they're going to pay him the first year, but if he has a good year coming back from the shoulder surgery, he's going to have a more robust market, and then he can opt out and go into free agency again. But I like the move by Tampa Bay. They make very small, incremental moves, and they don't really register on the Richter scale, so to speak. But when you look up, they're right there. They're very, very competitive, smart organization, and they're going to play all their games at Steinbrenner Field. So that's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of rain delays because it rains all the time in Tampa during the summer, bursts of rain. And, you know, you didn't have to worry about that at Tropicana Field with the Dome, but you are going to have to worry about that at Steinbrenner Field. There's going to be lengthy delays. You're not going to be able to bring a starting pitcher out. You're going to have a lot of rainouts, too. So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate it. So they're going to be playing against a lot of things that could actually hurt them. But let's see what they do. Maybe they'll make them band together. I want to give you a little clue, everybody, because that's what I do. Jody and I sat down last night, and we tried this show on Hulu called Paradise. It's unbelievable. It's thought-provoking. It's so well done. Sterling K. Brown is the star. You got to watch it. There's 3 episodes out right now. The 4th episode will come out next Tuesday. It's great. I didn't think I would like it, but we watched 3 in a row. It's about an hour apiece. Kids went to bed on their own, and we just watched and watched and watched, and you're going to like it. So that is my recommendation to you, Paradise. And I was telling our Pinhead PD that earlier, and he looked at me like he saw a ghost, and he said, Did you and Rick, set this up? I said, what? He said, Rick DiPietro just told me the same thing. I said, well, people wonder why we get along. We are of the same mindset. Yummy. We have the same tastes. It's who we are. Greatness personified. Don't you understand? But I actually texted Rick after that, and he loves it. It was that good. It was so good that he watched it yesterday like me and Jody did, and he didn't watch Rothenberg's documentary that's out, the one with Chris Russo about, what is that, about the Patriots, about Belichick and Brady, who was worth more, something like that. But Dave has produced that, and it has Chris Russo on it, along with Gary Myers. He also produced it. And Rick decided to watch Paradise instead of supporting his guy. That's how much he liked it. Hey, it's Superbox Bonanza 6. Each qualifier will take home an ESPN prize pack and have a chance of 1 of 10 Superbox prizes, including a Ninja air fryer, Solo stove, Ray-Ban Meta Wayfarers, and more. Be caller number, let's see. It's the Bills are trying for their third straight Super Bowl, so be caller number 3 right now at 888-987-ESPN to select a box for the big game with a chance to win $250 in the first and third quarters, $500 at halftime, and a final score payout of $1,000, all brought to you by Tullamore Dew, Irish Whiskey, and Sloman Security. We have a big show planned tomorrow. Buster Only is going to join us, and we'll talk about some of the stuff we talked about with passing and some of the stuff I brought up today with Meredith Marakovits' interview with Hal Steinbrenner. And I'm sure the guys coming up, Don Hahn and Rosenberg, will address that as well, where he said us other owners can't do what the Dodgers are doing. And really my only exception to that, I said at the beginning of the show, Hal shouldn't use the word us, because the Yankees could do what the Dodgers are doing. They don't think that that's the right model for them, so they're not doing it. Other owners can't do it. Pirates can't do it. Kansas City can't do it. Milwaukee can't do it. Cleveland can't do it. They can't do it. They don't have the money to do it. But the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, they can do it. The Red Sox, they can do it. So you can't say us, just say most owners can't, and he would have been right on point. So coming up, Don Hahn and Rosenberg, in the words of Billy Joel, life is a series of hellos and goodbyes. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. See everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 1.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
You know what? Check yourself.
Hear more from Michael K. weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN.
Suck it up and like it.
The ESPN New York app and your smart speakers.